Hey guys, so I wanted to share this method that I have found success with in the past, trying to get an account down to a certain TACoS goal or a certain spend level. And it involves something similar to using the targeting tab, but I find it a little bit easier to do this. It's definitely, in my opinion, far more precise. It might take a few minutes longer, but with the additional precision that you get, I definitely think it's worth it. So the first thing you're going to do is download the bulk file and add filtering to the top row. And once you're done with that, and by the way, you can do this in Excel or Google Sheets, it makes no difference. I just prefer to use Excel because it's already in that format. So you're going to want to add a blank row to the top and then freeze the top row. Next, you're going to want to filter by entity, select product targets and keywords. And now that we have all the targets in the account showing, make sure that you're looking only at the ones that are enabled. So go to state, campaign status, and ad group status. Make sure that all of those are only showing enabled. And then this is the trickiest part, but I'll put the formulas in the notes. So you're going to want to do subtotal. For Excel, you hit 9. That's the type of subtotal you're going to do. And then just select the entire column. And then once you're done with that, drag that over to the sales so that you also have the subtotal for the sales. And after we drag that over to get the sales, what we'll do is go to the business report and get the total sales figure off of that for the same time period that you used for the bulk file. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I would start with a time range of maybe 10 to 14 days. You can mess around with that to see if that's giving you good results, but whatever that is, pick that same date range and get your total sales figure off the business report. So in my case, I'm going to use a made-up figure of $2 million, and I'm just going to paste this formula in, and I'll explain it in a second exactly what it is. So this is giving us, in the formula, the $2 million that I got off the business report, and I'm going to manually type in whatever this sales figure is. So the formula that we're going to use here is we're going to do equals and put whatever that business report sales figure is. So I'm going to pretend it's $2 million just for the sake of the example, and I'm going to do minus and then manually type this in right here, this sales figure. So 846,149. I'll put that in parentheses, and then I'll add this sales figure back on. So I'll just click on there. And what we're doing essentially here is we are taking the current sales minus the ad sales to find the organic sales, and then we're adding to the organic sales the current ad sales that are showing on this right now. So as of right now, this number should match whatever the business report figure is. And it does, it's the $2 million. But as we delete these sales figures here, you'll see that this figure will drop. The next thing that we'll do, and the last thing up here, is we'll do spend divided by what's above orders, which is your total sales. And that's going to give us our TACoS currently. So I'll bump that over 1 decimal place. I'll go 2 more just so we can see what's going on a little bit better. The next thing that we're going to do is we can either sort by ACoS or conversion rate. There are times where I like to use one over the other. For the sake of this example, I'm going to do conversion rate, smallest to largest. And say that we have a 10% target TACoS goal right now, then you would just delete out these figures. And the reason we froze it at the top is so that we could see this as we're going down. So right now, we hit delete, we see that figure change. You can see that TACoS figure changing. And what we're doing right now is now we've now deleted the spend and sales for all the targets that don't actually have any sales. What we're now going to start getting into are targets that do have sales and have spend. So I'm just going to delete this just to get the TACoS figure down to where we want it. So we're going for that 10% figure. Okay, so I'm a little far. Okay, let's call it that right there. That's close enough. So if you were going strictly by conversion rate, then you could then take all of these that you deleted, and what you would do is copy these. I'll do this in a second. Actually, no, I'll just do this right now. So we would copy this. Let's open a whole new sheet. And we would paste it in here. Now I paused it so that I could scrunch those columns back up, and we would change the operation to update, drag this down, change the state to paused, drag this down, save this, and then upload it to bulk operations. Now let's take a step back and look at our pausing, what we would have paused out. So I just did this from top to bottom. What you can do here is, if you see, for instance, this looks like a pretty good example. This is 17.5% ACoS. So you might want to just leave the data here and not pause that one out. So you can go incrementally and say, you know, that one actually looks pretty good, even though the conversion rate isn't great, the ACoS might be okay. So I'm going to leave that one in. Another thing that you can do here so that you don't run into problems with specific ASINs getting all of the spend because maybe their keywords have such good performance that when you do this, you're going to starve the other ASINs and those other campaigns. So if you go to the campaign name, which I'm not going to hit because that would expose everything, but if you have the ASIN in the campaign name, you can filter each time by ASIN. You can use the portfolios to filter specific portfolios, so only they're showing. So you can do this incrementally based on several different approaches. What I have found easiest, though, is just to do it top to bottom. For the most part, the times that I've done this where it's worked, it hasn't been a big issue where I had to balance out the spend between certain portfolios or ASINs, but your results or your needs may vary. Another thing that I would mention that I've run into in the past is I've done this And then I have found after pausing out the targets, I'm thinking, okay, all the spend is going to flow towards the best targets, but I've got all these dormant targets that are unpaused, but get 0 impressions. So typically, if I have an account like this, one of the first things that I'll do, if the spend or TACoS really needs to decently come down, is I'll just go through the account and pause out all the targets that have 0 impressions, so that I'm not playing whack-a-mole in the future, because I'm gonna pause these out. I don't want a bunch of other impressions to spring up somewhere else. I know that I've got solid targets that the spend is flowing to, and I wanna keep it that way and know exactly where everything is going. So I would recommend if you use this, don't do this aggressively all in one shot like I did with getting this from whatever we started at 13% down to about 10%. I like to do this incrementally every several days, pause a handful out. Once you get in the habit of it, it's really not too bad. But if you take one large swipe at the account, then you could end up running into some problems with like overcorrecting it. But another thing that you might run into is, say that you get this process set and you find that the TACoS is already below what the target is. So what you would do in that case is search for targets that are not enabled but that are paused, and then you're going to rank them. Instead of having the conversion rate lowest to highest, you would actually do it highest to lowest. So now you're looking at all the targets that are paused that have really good conversion rates, and you can incrementally unpause the ones to increase the amount of spend so you can hit your target TACoS goal. So I hope that all that makes sense. There's a lot to this and a lot of different ways that you can approach it. If you do have any questions or comments on this, I'm more than happy to answer them, and I will be sure to also put the formulas in the details of the video. So